You've talked about schools, but even if you just walk
Very
out,
complicated agenda.
Does it actually mean anything at all?
Okay, this is right and wrong, but it doesn't actually follow it.
We've been in a recession for a few years now.
Have any of you been impacted?
real stories,
We learn from one another.
real issues. Is Islam a threat? And real views. This is Real Talk.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, beloved viewers of MTA. Welcome to another enlightening episode of Real Talk Africa on MTA Africa, where we explore contemporary issues through the lens of Islamic teachings. I am your host, Zafrullah Lamino. And today, we delve into a topic that impacts millions of lives globally, social media etiquette in Islam. In an era where our fingertips can reach across continents in seconds, where thoughts become viral in minutes, and where our online presence often precedes our physical one, how do we as Muslims navigate this digital landscape while staying true to our faith? Joining me today are three distinguished guests. First, I have Mr. Adebisi Abdulmalik Peters, a renowned media expert and lecturer at Yaba College of Technology, Yaba, Lagos, who will provide insight from the media world. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're also honored to have Maulvi Nabil Ahmad Oyekola, a dedicated missionary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat Nigeria, who will help us to explore the Islamic perspective on online conduct. Maulvi Sahab, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And joining us live, we welcome Mr. Abdurraqib Akiyemi, the National President, Ahmadi Muslim Youth Organization, who will share his unique perspective on guiding the youth in responsible social media age. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Mr. Abdurraqib.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you for joining us virtually.
Thank you for having me.
I also have here with me in the studio my aesthetic audience. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. In this episode, we will discuss the boundaries of social media debates, how parents can monitor their children's social media activity, how we can maintain Islamic boundaries in interactions with the opposite gender online. We will also touch on the sensitive issue of sharing personal achievements and lifestyle on social media. Can this be seen as arrogance or a show-off? We will know. But before we dive into this rich discussion, let's hear from the public. We took to the streets to ask everyday people their thoughts on social media etiquette in Islam. And here is what they had to say.
Well, nowadays the social media, when we look at it generally, is good. But nowadays the way that people are using it is very awkward somehow.
I think that we have to have some boundaries and limits for people to engage in some religious aspects on social media platforms.
On the social media, so things we put out, we should ensure that it is impacting positively in a way or other aspects, but we should be watchful of things we put out in the sense that the social media is a very broad space as at now. We have underage on social media platforms and other stuff, so we have to be careful and more conscious about what we put out and be mindful.
I don't think it's good enough for someone to engage in Islamic debates online, because there will be a certain way someone can talk about Islamic, it might find it abusive or might find it condescending to Islamic religion in some ways that some people don't know how to talk. While having a debate, it might lead to arguments. While having the argument, it might lead to them speaking ill of our prophet or our God.
I also think that people should think before posting anything on social media platform, because lately social media platform is very, very sensitive. The way you post things or words or image might affect people's privacy, which you yourself might not know.
But showing off your achievements, showing off your wealth, showing off all those kind of stuff, I'm not sure if it is a bad thing. But overshowing it and the way you show it might seem arrogant.
My own opinion, it's not advisable to post all your achievements. Try to respect your privacy, because not every details, not everything you do, you have to post on social media.
When a Muslim dress the way Islam wants them to dress, putting on niqab, covering their face and all, they used to face this kind of bad side of social media, making them feel depressed, as if they are deviated out of the society.
We've just listened to the opinions and perspective from people on the street. I will now dive deeper into the discussion with our esteemed guest. Mr. Adebisi, let me start with you. As a media expert, we know that there are so many benefits of social media, but it also introduced some ethical dilemmas too. So can you, from your perspective, can you let us know some of the ethical challenges of social media?
Thank you. Bismillah. So to start with, is there anything that does not have effect when being done too much? And before we look into the other vices or the disadvantages of it, I want us to understand that first, as humans, we are social beings. And you're talking about social media. Social media is just virtual platforms that engages us socially, just for interactions as well. So we cannot evade it. But how we deal with it and how we use it will determine the adverse effect on us. Yeah. So part of the adverse effect it has hate speech, you have cybercrime, you have cyberbullying, you know, amidst other things as well. So first is to understand that as humans, we can't evade social platforms, but we need to understand the dynamics of it and how best to use it.
Thank you very much for that concise answer. Moving on to Movi Sahib. Mr. Adebisi has talked about some of the ethical dilemmas of social media. He has mentioned cyberbullying, cyber stalking, hate speech, you know. So what are the Islamic teachings or Islamic ways by which we can, you know, solve these challenges, these dilemmas, we can, you know, save ourselves from all these problems or challenges?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Just like Islam teaches us the way to live our life. So in the same way, when it comes to interactions with humans, it also teaches us how to go about it. Just like in physical interaction, also it applies even more in this age to online interaction. The Holy Quran in Surah Al-Ahzab, verse 71, it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. That is, O ye who believe, fear Allah and say the right word. Even in this verse, we could see that God mentioned two things. The first one being fearing Allah the Almighty, and the second one saying the right word or speaking the true word. So in whatever we do, we know Islam, basically the teachings of Islam goes around this of the fearing of God, meaning righteousness. So when we fear Allah in navigating the interactions online, we will be able to, in a way, to some extent, we are safe. Then up to the next stage, which is saying the right word. Saying the right word would mean that you say the true word. One, you abstain from mocking others. You abstain from saying, speaking hate speech. You abstain from abusing others, and so on and so forth. So this would, when we do this, it would help us in navigating online interactions. The Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also said that it's either you say the right word or you keep quiet. If you think you can't navigate it, just keep scrolling and don't say anything or don't even comment. That's best for you than to say the wrong thing. So
yeah, thank you very much. I'm coming back to you, Mr. Adebisi now. Movi Nabil Ahmad has mentioned, has given us some guidance on, as an individual, specifically as a Muslim, we should avoid hate speech. We should, we should avoid saying sending any message that is going to cause any havoc. Now, what about if a Muslim is facing these dilemmas that you mentioned? For example, if a Muslim is facing hate speech, if a Muslim is being cyberbullied, if a Muslim is being, cyber-stalked, how can that person, resolve this problem? I mean, this hate speech and all these stereotypes that is facing.
Thank you for that. So to start with, a Muslim being bullied or being getting derogatory statements online, even as an individual, it is wise enough for us to always pause first and think through. As well, we should understand that social media is so porous that most times what people may be discussing might be rumors. What they may actually say to you might not be facts. So as a Muslim, someone with faith, someone with Iman, it's best you tap into the wisdom, which is first pause, look at the issue, look into facts. But one thing I would say is, even as someone with faith, you shouldn't let it slide, because once you let it slide, there will be repetitions even from other perspectives and other humans. This is a social platform that is free to many, and people will continue sending it. But you need to reply in a manner that speaks wisdom. You need to be firm in your response. When you don't reply with derogatory statements as well, where you don't reply with hate speech as well. Because in every sphere of this life, especially for we are of faith and Islam is fast rising across the world, we should expect that as much as we're having the good conversions, we would also be pointed at too in the other way. But having firm and reasonable reply is what will make some people rethink about even their statements. And along the line, in a line of communication, which is usually two-way for it to be effective, there should be a consensus, there should be a resolution where the other person finds it that, oh, this thing I must have said is quite wrong, or this thing I must have done is quite bad to this person. And along that line, you see this in tweets, you see this in conversations. It depends on how you handle it as a person. So if someone says something to me now and I also reply in that manner, then definitely we'll have things out. And don't forget that the reason why some people might actually be projecting that towards you might actually be because of your faith.
Yeah.
So once you reply that way, then you are no different from them.
Yeah.
But once you pause and you reply being firm with facts, with wisdom, they would not only apologize, but tap into whatever or wherever you've gotten this from.
Yeah, thank you very much. What you just mentioned now also corroborate what Maulvi Nabil Ahmad also mentioned earlier, that in fact, in some situations, if you don't have anything to say, it's just better you keep quiet and just leave them, because in Nigeria as of today, no matter how you are being sensible, being firm, and people will still try to say things that is derogatory towards you.
Let me cut into that.
Yeah.
So in the process of being silent, and some people wanting to reply as well, I feel where we as humans, I'm using humans in general now, because some people who are non-Muslims might still convert. We should tend to make things less personal first.
Okay.
Because even when you keep quiet or when you reply and you take this to be personal, then you in the line of conversation, you are not even protecting or defending Islam. At some point, people make it personal that is now about them. Oh, if I let this lie, let this person is too small to me. This person, then it is not a fight of faith again. It is you showing off. So as much as we want to let things slide or we want to engage with people, we should also understand that we should make it less personal. Let's take into cognizance that no one can fight for God.
Of course.
Do you understand? So in His infinite mercy, God, as Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has shown us, has sent to us, we have hadiths, we have verses, and He has made us know that you do not do things for you to praise yourself. In a term, that's real, right? You do not do things to praise yourself. So some people, when you see when I see some conversations online, I tend to know when the person has actually, so if it's actually personal than being of religion or than being of faith or your belief. So either you make it slide, but when you make it slide, the thing is, we need to also be careful. You do not let some sensitive issues slide.
Yeah.
If you do not have the right words or maybe the right wisdom to reply, you can send it over to people who you think are knowledgeable enough to attend to that. And in one way or the other, they should let that give that response.
Yes.
But letting it slide for a long time sometimes make for continuous speeches
Attack.
or derogations from that angle. But when we say it, we're being firm. So being firm in my own context is not about being defensive. No, it's being knowledgeable, truthful, and trying to sieve the truths, trying to sieve the facts, and making the other person know that this that you've done is actually wrong. This is not the right way. This is how to go about it. Or this is what we do, or this is what we go through, or what have you. Because even in that line of conversation, you might actually have that person have a reconsideration to even taking interest in how you gather this, and that even takes the person through the journey of faith, the journey of Iman.
So one thing that is very important that you mentioned, that we should always try to take emotions away,
out of it,
away from what we are posting in our reply. Thank you very much, Mr. Adebisi. So, Movi Nabil Ahmad, now I want to ask you this question. To what extent should, Muslims engage in social media debates and political issues online? Social media debates specifically about religion. You know that religion is a very controversial and contentious issue online. So to what extent, looking at Nigeria as, a multi-ethnic and pluralistic country, so to what extent should we engage in this social media debate about religion and political issues?
So one thing I'll first mention is that a quality of a believer mentioned in the Holy Quran is وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. That is, believers are those who stay away from vain talks or vain things. So when we look at social media debates sometimes, they are vain, actually, because people tend to debate about vain matters, profanities, and so on. So when we come to religious aspects of debate, I think the best would be, first, like you mentioned, don't let emotions set in.
Yeah.
Because if you want to get people on social media, actually, you play religion. When you play religion, the emotions set in fast than any other matter.
Yeah.
So, first thing, the Holy Quran has also taught us that idfa' billati hiya ahsan, that you should repel such attack or such situations with the best, meaning you pause, you think before you reply. Then also, in a system, Islam is having a system whereby there are clerics, there are scholars who can debate online. It's better to refer to them. They should answer those questions instead of you who don't have too much knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, emotions will kick in. So for those who are having knowledge and they know the art of debate, or let me put it in the art of discussion online, they will be able to do it well and they will be able to navigate it better than just anybody who also want to take part in such debate. So I would say the extent where a Muslim can go is that if it's beneficial, you can partake in those type of discussions, not debate, discussions.
Ah, very good.
Because debates, like I mentioned, emotions kick in.
Yeah.
One thing as a Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, Allah Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, told us is that we should not get involved in wrongful debates. And when you see that debate is ensuing for the sake of debate, then one thing you should do is that you should tell them, I'm leaving this debate because it is not more beneficial for me. It is becoming harmful. So this way, you are also teaching them that we should not get involved in such types of debate. So we can only involve ourselves in beneficial discussions, rather not debate.
Yeah, thank you very much. So you put more emphasis on beneficial discussion. So what you're saying is that whenever we are having a discussion, not a debate with someone, we should always look at, okay, what is the benefit for me? Am I really, having this debate because I want to protect my faith, my religion, or is it I'm taking emotion? Is it personal about myself? So that is very important. We need to find a way to find a middle ground between, number one, just like I also said, knowledgeable discussion. If you have the knowledge to give response to those kind of people, yes, do it. But if you don't, it's better you look for someone else. However, even if you have the knowledge and it is getting too extreme, too far, it's just better to just stay away, because in that, when you're getting to that level, it's not going to be more beneficial to you. And looking at, okay, you want to add something? Oh, excellent.
Now, you said you have to look into what is beneficial to the person.
Yeah.
I feel that should be out.
Okay.
Because, in one of the hadiths, which states the Prophet Rasulullah stated that there are 3 persons who, of all their deeds and their shows, may not even get into the paradise. That's one whom has been bestowed enough wealth, but while living, made people feel like he's generous, he's too generous and all of that. The one whom has been given enough knowledge and wisdom to read the Quran, and while living, he lived the life of people praising that, he can read it well, he's good at it. And the third person, someone who says he died for the sake of Allah. Do you understand? And why he did that is because so that people could say, he's courageous, he's brave. So beneficial to oneself should be out of the context. It should be more, is this beneficial to the Muslim society? Is this beneficial to the new offspring, to the new generation interested in Islam, interested in the faith? So I feel that should be much more considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Now, I would want to move on to Mr. Abdulrakib Akiem, who is joining us virtually. So my question is that when do you think parents should allow their children to access social media platform? We all know the benefits of social media, and it's important. We know that children also need to make use of their phones to access the varieties of information online for education purpose. But where do we cut the limits, and what measures should be taken to check them?
All right. Thank you for having me. Before I suggest an age at which the parents can allow their child to have access to social media, I would like to mention a few things that are very important, regardless of the age that a parent decides to give access to his or a child. One thing that is very critical is ensuring that that child has proper training. That is why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Akrimu awladakum wa ahsinu adabahum." Respect your children and bring them up in a good manner. What that means is that regardless of what age you allow your child to have access to social media, if you have respected your child by bringing them up in a good manner, and it will definitely help them to comport themselves and align with the quality and quality teachings and principles of Islam with which you have trained them, because that is what Rasulullah Sallam is referring to in that tradition. Wa ahsinu adabahum. You have to perfect their upbringing. So if you give access to your child, if you give your child access to social media, it is not about age when he has the access. It is about the knowledge, the training, the upbringing he or she has before he got access to social media. So what I'm saying categorically is that adab, that is ethics, proper training, moral training, is very essential in upbringing our children, which means that if we are able to bring up our children with the quality principles and ethics of Islam, at that time they are already trained with the quality teachings of Islam. They have understood the principles of Islam, and it will give them the understanding that, okay, before you post anything on social media, it is something you have to verify. It will also help them to have acquired the knowledge of protecting privacy of either themselves or any other person. And any other ethical requirements of anyone to deal on public media platforms. So this actually is what is important, to train them adequately, to upbring our children in a way that Islam has prescribed for us from the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, if this is the background that every child has, then you can now say, okay, when you are well trained, you can now have access to it. Let's say probably when someone leaves the college, probably when you have left the secondary school, because you know, sometimes the reason why they have to be limited until they leave secondary school, it will be that some of them, because of the age that we are now, that people are now making use of artificial intelligence tools to do that test and even to write examinations. Sometimes people are not, you know, engaging on critical thinking again to solve problems. So you may limit it to probably expose him to when he gets to tertiary institution. At that time, the person will have actually made use of his previous years in his educational period, from primary education, secondary education, to not having access to social media, so that there will be a distraction. There will be a limitation to level of distraction he may have. Just recently, when we had the Maisat Al Ahmadiyya Itima just a week ago, it was realized that one of our speakers, when we were given mentoring speech to the members of ATFA, it was mentioned that one of our guests mentioned that it was after 200 level of 6 years program that he was able to have access to social media. So at that time, he has had a kind of strong background in his results for the first 2 years before he now said, okay, let me now, you know, start using social media, you know, small and, you know, gradually. So this actually means that he has comported himself, he has exercised some level of discipline to actually limit his access to social media because of any distraction that may come up. So anytime from after college, after secondary school will be fine for anyone to be exposed to social media. After, you must have trained him in a proper way of Islam.
Yeah, thank you very much for that submission. You've made emphasis to proper training. That is the first thing that the parents should do before you now talk about limitations. And most likely it depends. Sometimes after secondary school and sometimes probably 200 level, you can allow them to start using it. Thank you very much, Mr. Abrakib, for that beautiful submission. So I'm coming to my audience now. I don't know if you have any contribution or submission. Okay, I think you have. Good.
Yeah, Jazakumullah khairan for the speeches so far. So my contribution is that we need to lay emphasis on social media abuse. So nowadays, people abuse social media by staying up all night on social media, doing nothing which is of no benefit, which is of no importance. So, and I think one of the way to combat this is to, just like a student is having an examination, there is a full determination that, oh, I want to read my book for this period of time without any distraction. So you need to set a goal for yourself that, oh, I won't stay on social media during this time. So I think through this determination, you will be able to limit yourself towards what is not benefit you on social media. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I really appreciate what you mentioned. You put a spot on distraction, because to so many students specifically, because you are a student, social media is a distraction to many people. So we need to be disciplined. We need to discipline ourselves to be able to put away our phone for some time. In fact, there was a research that shows that people, when you wake up in the morning, one of the first that most people used to do, especially millennials, they would go to their phone and start to be, going through their social media pages to just check. So we need to be able to discipline ourselves to keep away from the social media, to be very productive in what we're doing. Thank you for that beautiful submission. Any other contribution? Okay. Please speak up, please. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I would like to speak to the side of having parental control over our children's social media platforms.
Yeah.
It's not totally bad that a child has access to social media, provided that parents give strict monitoring on what their children do. A very popular person that we all know, footballer Ronaldo, says he has restricted his son from social media at the moment due to the fact of not getting him distracted.
Yeah.
So there are some information that is restricted to some age group,
Yes.
which children can access on social media, just like we have YouTube as YouTube Kids and all. So what I'm just saying in essence is that if a strict monitoring and the parents are not too liberal with their children, if such is being put into consideration, their affairs on social media can be curtailed. They can monitor their children's social media and have them access to information that they need without denying them access to the Gen Z information.
Yeah, thank you very much. You are speaking to more of using some applications specifically for children, because I remember even in China, they have, if you're a child and you are using TikTok, there are some certain content that's going to pop up on your feed. And like you mentioned, we have YouTube for kids, even other media platforms too that is specifically for kids. It is now left on the parents to have this knowledge and to be able to put all these in place for their kids. Thank you, spot on.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
I really appreciate the knowledge shared by the panelists. There's what they call addiction in social media.
Okay.
And if it's not curtailed from that little age, before you know it, because virtually every one of us are addicted to social media. You hardly see anybody. If you use your phone now, you see the anxiety it will generate on you. You understand me? And why is that anxiety? It's because of you want to access social media. So a child I don't believe a child without social media cannot survive. We were surviving before now.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to have access to social media, it should be after secondary school. If not, that thing will just go to most of us are using social media without the benefits. There's business aspect of that social media which we are not even using. All we are into is just to abuse people online, and before we know it, we fall victim of all this scam and the rest. So to me, my own kids, they won't have access to any form of social media until they graduate from primary school, from secondary school, from there. Because if it's not curtailed, you will see they will be addicted, and that addiction is worse than smoking or drinking.
Yes, because social media releases, where it is just like in addiction, every addiction, there is a high release of dopamine hormones in your body that create that joy and happiness. And when you are deprived of it, it causes some issues with kids or with everybody. But so I like your submission that you said, for your own perspective, social media should be curtailed for kids, not until some certain age. Okay, thank you very much for that. Yeah, go.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My own opinion concerning the use of social media for underage is basically the fact that the first thing is for parents to ensure that the source of happiness or joy for their child doesn't get attached to the use of social media. Because some people only derive their joy from social media, if not. So the first thing is to make sure that they don't tie that their happiness just to that. Let them understand this. Because if they understand, they won't get addicted. The overuse of it makes them get addicted with it. That is why people go on. The number two thing is just to ensure that we do our own part on educating the younger ones we have around us on the use of social media. Either because most people use it negatively, but there are positive use of it too. So let them understand the difference between the two. And on the issue of underage using social media, I feel nowadays we get informations, we get to do research. So let them, give them a time bound for the use of it. Don't let them just have all-time free access to social media, but let them have a time bound that from this time to this time. So within that time, if they have any information to get, they will do that as fast as possible and get other things to do.
Thank you very much for that submission also. You want to add something? Okay, very good.
I listened to everything they've all said, and I feel it would be best to push this out.
Okay.
So first is, as a strategist, we've come to understand that, let me be honest with you on this show, social media has more to get from all of us, the platforms, the virtual platform, than what we are getting. So, and that is why you will understand that the people who owns this platform, so that is first about you that said discipline, about the curtailing and all, the people who owns this platform or who makes the most out of this platform do not even engage. They engage less on these platforms. They delegate people to use the platforms on their behalf. And for their family, for you are still talking about even underage, even the aged, they make sure they restrict. Because when talking about social media or this platform, just understand one thing: we are the product.
Yeah.
So the more you use it, the more you're selling yourself out there. So would you want to sell your child out there?
Yeah.
Even yourself, myself, would you want to sell yourself out there for every time? I'm giving this insight, but I just need to be real with everyone here. For every time you spend on the internet, you are a prospective product for advertisements. And that's why you see things that you're not interested in, the things you never asked for, everything is just coming to you.
Yeah.
And the whole insight for the brands, people who own the social media, is they don't want you to take your eyes off the platforms.
Yeah.
That is the only way they can make more and get the most out of you. Yeah. Even myself as a practitioner, my wife knows, there are times I'll just drop my phone. I'm not doing anything till the next day. I put it on silent. Messages, calls, everything, it's away. It's until we understand these insights, that is when you can now start instilling better discipline. So when we talk about discipline, just like you've mentioned about the use of social media and the like, as a person, are you disciplined enough for even your normal day-to-day activities? You should know when to use it. And look at how things have been evolving. When was the last time anyone here in this room used the library?
Yeah.
So informations are still in some other places, but all because they've reshaped our thinking to thinking that that's one device that has roots or network or webs to everything you need in the world. The answer is truly yes, but not totally yes. There are places you can, library, when last did we visit that? When last did we actually get newspaper to read from? While you're reading on the news platform, even online, you have other things pop to you. It's intentional to take you away from that, to make sure that you spend your whole day on that device. And thereby, you start to ask yourself, why are you even living? So you become to start living for that platform, being the product, and not you being productive.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adebisi, for that beautiful submission. We will now listen to a short guidance from the head of Ahmadiyya Muslim community worldwide, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad. May Almighty Allah be his helper.
You see, in the social media, there are some good things and bad things as well. But unfortunately, the bad things are outnumbering the good things in the social media, right? So, the students can also create a platform in the social media where you provide to the people, to the students, to the youth, and to others as well, the things which can help you to make you better morally, which can help you to enhance your educational level, which can help you to better your spiritual level. So in this way, and also try to pick up, even there are those sites on the social media which are helpful for educational betterment or some other things. You can also promote them and give your comments to them and suggest your khuddam and students that they can visit those items, and those social media platforms which are spoiling your life. They are morally corrupt. I mean, their programs are morally making you morally corrupt, or can corrupt you spiritually or morally. Then ask your students not to see them. See? So this is our duty. We have to do this thing. But if you create your own social media platform, that would be better. Then at least you can, those who are very much fond of visiting social media, if you have your own social media which can help you to increase their knowledge and make them morally and spiritually better, that will also help them to quench their thirst with regards to social media.
Welcome back. We've just listened to the guidance from Uzul Sahib. May Almighty Allah be his helper. And moving on, Movi Nabil Ahmad, this final thoughts. How can one maintain Islamic boundaries in online interaction with the opposite gender?
So maintaining Islamic boundaries with opposite gender in online interaction is very important, because just as in physical environment, we don't, the Islamic teaching is that there is no free mixing of both sex physically. So online as well, it has to be kept. However, a question could be asked that because it is online, so we don't really meet each other. Don't let us forget the hadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ that says that wherever a man and a woman is alone, the third person there is Satan. So when we keep this in view, we will know whatever we are saying or whatever we are doing online, Satan will be the third person. And when Satan comes in, we lose every type of Islamic boundary around that interaction. So also, I would like to add that we could say that we mix online because of either work or school.
Yeah.
This one thing we should keep in mind is, yes, nowadays we have no choice than to use these avenues available to us.
Yeah.
But we can also keep Islamic boundaries in this by making those things. If you're a student, you have a female colleague or a female classmate, you should make sure whatever you are saying is either relating to a project or is either relating to an assignment or schoolwork. Only that framework. It shouldn't be outside that. If it's professional, if you're a professional, maybe you are a work colleague, you have to keep it professional and not going outside that boundary to keep it to the minimal. So this way, we'll be able to keep that Islamic boundary on online interaction.
Thank you very much. You've shed a very good light on that issue of setting boundaries in online interaction between opposite gender. Your final thought, Mr. Adebisi. There's been issues about sharing personal achievements online. If most especially people do it on different social media platforms, but some also do it on LinkedIn, which is a professional platform. So from your own opinion, to what extent should one share their personal achievement and lifestyle on social media?
Thank you for that. So that question is quite fragile, because at some point in our life, we all want personal development.
Yep.
So, and the thing is, just like you mentioned, that for engagement with the opposite sex, if it's for work, you have to keep it work. Now, showing off should be something that is personal if it's for career growth.
Yeah.
So it takes me back to that, the term showing off, even in the Al-Quran, that's riyah, and which is one of the things that God frowns against.
Yeah.
So showing off should be more for personal development, and thereby you know that you are doing it not because of your religion, you are doing it for your own personal career growth. In the sense that I want to show off. It should be me telling a story of my elevation rather than saying it in a way to make others in that position feel like mediocres, like they have not even started living.
Yes, yes.
So if I would tell something about career upskilling or something, I should restrict it to myself. And let's take into cognizance that once you do that and you start getting accolades, you guys start getting applaud, that means you have done something in this life and you've gotten the reward for it here. So you shouldn't attach it to faith.
Yeah.
You've done a display. And like I said, we should just still keep it majorly for personal development. So the kind of show off that I feel as Muslims, we should actually cut, or we should actually bring that out. The kind of showing off that we should actually stop is things that will make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Even the Prophet Rasulullah stated, that the best of characters, or the best of Muslims, is one with good character and one whom Muslims and even non-Muslims can feel comfortable with. So when you start, let's say, because I'm here, I just want people to know that they are audience, and I bring out my phone while leaving, oh, it's one of the audience, blah, 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 da. Definitely, he might smile because he might see me, oh, this person is on the panelist today, but is he comfortable with that action? No. And you see this thing being displayed even by Muslims in the society, trying to do something to get personal accolades from people. So that is actually wrong. But you can do it in a way that you just know, oh, you are blowing your trumpet personally for development that is just for you. You shouldn't attribute it, or you shouldn't make other people feel like that they are mediocres, that they've not even started living or doing things, doing zakat and the sadaqah and the likes online for people to see this is what you have done. Because that is an action you have done in life here, and you've gotten the reward. Expect nothing more in the year after.
Yeah.
So these are the things we should actually look into while showing off. And honestly, I would put it that showing off should be very limited if it has nothing to do with personal or career development majorly.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Adebisi, for that.
You're welcome.
You've hit the nail on the head by saying showing off should specifically be for personal development. And even in that, you should consider other people that, the way you put out that personal development self, you should also be thinking about others. In your choice of words and the way you present it also matters a lot. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khaira to Mr. Adebisi Amovi, Nabil Ahmad for, joining us on the show. And also my ever-listening audience for your contribution. We appreciate you. And, Mr. Abdurraqib Akemi also joined us virtually for sharing such valuable insight on today's episode of Real Talk. We've explored some of the most pressing ethical challenges in the digital world and how Islamic teachings can guide us towards maintaining dignity and respect in our online interactions. We hope this discussion has given you something to reflect on as you engage with others online. For questions, comments, or observation, you can always reach out via africa@mta.tv. Until next time, stay safe, stay mindful, and may Allah guide us all in our every aspect of our lives, both online and offline. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
La for, hit for them, Alata, la for, hit for them, for Islam stand for peace. La for, hit for them, for Islam stand for peace.